So far, the Bane Chronicles had been the bane of my existence, and this book is no exception. This review was really difficult for me to make. I procrastinated for over a week on it, because the only thoughts that came to my mind whenever I thought about this book were lackluster, forgettable, and I just don't care. And it took me a really long time to figure out why, and I feel like I finally have the answer. It's because of plot and characters. The two main characters in this book are Magnus Bane and Edmund Herondale. Magnus Bane is getting really boring. I'm sort of tired of him by the third book. First of all, in this book, Magnus Bane is an extremely passive character. He just doesn't do anything. He mostly just sits there, observing, listening, making offhand comments that don't move the plot forward. The only decision that actually impacts the plot that he made was to let Camille go. And that's it. He just exists. On top of that, the observations that Magnus Bane does make him feel like this shallow, fashion-obsessed character who falls in love for the most superficial reasons ever. There is no character growth, no character arc. We don't know why he is the way that he is. We just know that he's like that. He just feels too much like a caricature and not like a full, well-developed character with depth and complexity that a never-aging, powerful being who had been alive for hundreds of years deserves. All of the parts to make him into a fascinating and interesting character are there. He's extremely powerful, he lives forever, he's extravagant, he should be extremely fascinating and interesting for us to follow him, but it just doesn't work. The potential is there, but the execution falls flat. Now our second character is Edmund Herondale, and he is the embodiment of the sacrifices everything for the woman that he loves trope. Now, I have nothing against that trope. I think it's great. The problem is, number one, Edmund Herondale just doesn't have much of a personality outside of that, and number two, the trope itself was not really well executed, which brings me to the second main problem, the plot. This book can be divided into three different plots: Edmund Herondale's relationship, the Accords, and Magnus's relationship with Camille. The main problem with Edmund Herondale's plotline is that it was written from Magnus's POV. Because of that, we don't actually get to read about much of Edmund Herondale's relationship with his love interest Lindetta. We don't know how much Edmund actually cares about her. We don't know about the moments that they went together on. We don't just get to know much about their relationship. We just know Edmund Herondale is madly in love with her, but we don't get to experience why that's the case, which makes the whole plotline just fall flat. The second plotline is about the Accords, and the Accords is a treaty between the Shadowhunters and the Downworlders, which lays out how the Shadowhunters can interact with the Downworlders and how the Downworlders can interact with the Shadowhunters. It lays out what is illegal, what is legal, and how the two parties should interact with each other. The Shadowhunters really hate the Downworlders because they attack and hurt humans, and the Downworlders really hate the Shadowhunters because the Shadowhunters hurt the Downworlders. And so as a result, they came together to sign their accords to have this law of the land, if you will. This is an extremely important document for the rest of the series, and for something that important, you would think that Cassandra Clare would make it really clear how the whole thing went down. And you would be wrong to think that way. At the end of the plotline, the Downworld characters run away because of the demon attack and because of the argument that ensues between them and the Shadowhunters. And how they came back together to sign their accords is not clear. We just know that they were signed. And that's it. We just need to take Cassandra's word for it in the future novels. Like, the main point of the Accords plotline that should be there just isn't there. Moving on to Magnus's relationship with Camille plotline. Magnus's relationship with Camille lacked build-up, lacked tension, or anything else really to make it interesting. Magnus just sat there, observed Ralph's interest in Camille, thought of seeing Camille himself, and then decided to let Ralph stay with Camille because Ralph is mortal and Magnus is not. This is the most boring love triangle ever. Magnus's decision to let Camille go was touching, and that's it. That's the only good thing I can say about this book, is that moment when Magnus decides to let Camille go. There is just not much else to say about it. Thanks guys for listening, and I hope the next review will be more positive. Till next time, goodbye.